wield powerful abilities from the minor factions. This is Sins of a Solar Empire 2. There are many warlords vying for power in Sins of a Solar Empire 2, but not all of them are large or ambitious enough to be considered a contender in the race to become the ruler of known space. The minor factions can be hostile, and you can declare war on them if you wish to destroy them, but they have more utility than being a mere roadblock in your expansion efforts. Each runs one of the resource markets, and finding them on the map opens that market up to you. Finally, minor factions run the auctions, offering interesting items and resource caches, with players bidding influence to win them. These minor factions consist of humans and Vasari, and play a supporting role in the drama by lending their strength to their larger neighbours in return for influence. This unique resource is generated in a variety of ways, such as unlocking new technologies in the research trees, building advanced planet items on your colonised worlds, certain ship items, and more. Influence is given to a minor faction to unlock each ability tier, with access granted to the corresponding ability in that tier. Unlocked abilities are then purchased for more influence, with some featuring a cooldown timer to prevent overuse of the ability. Unlocking reputation tiers will grant increasing discounts when trading at that faction's black market, while reaching the highest tier will grant access to the vision around a minor faction's homeworld too, granting you an extra set of eyes on the comings and goings around and through this gravity well. These powerful abilities bolster your efforts to conquer the galaxy. Let's take a look at each minor faction and two of the 4 abilities that each offer you in exchange for your influence. Conflict always offers great opportunity for those positioned to profit from a war, and the pirates are perhaps the most underhand minor faction in the game. They'll send out raids to adjacent gravity wells, which can put those potential colonies off limits until the faction is destroyed, or an alliance with them is reached. In exchange for influence, the Tier 1 ability Pirate Boarding Cruise ship item can be installed on a capital ship. This powerful early game ability is more expensive than most and attached to a long cooldown timer, because it allows the capture of enemy ships, with the exclusion of capital ships. With 3 uses per boarding crew item, again spaced out by a cooldown timer, you can gain a reasonable early game advantage by stealing a handful of cruisers to assist your early expansion efforts. Or perhaps snatch the advantage away from an opposing player during an early territorial defense by taking a critical support ship. At Tier 4, you can pay these bloodthirsty buccaneers to attack an enemy gravity well of your choice, sending a 500 supply-sized fleet of pirate vessels to raid and pillage. With a significant investment of influence required to reach this later tier, you won't be using this one early or too often. But in the late game, your enemies will need to carefully guard any colonies close to the pirates' homeworld for fear of a rum-soaked clobbering. The Alixan Resurgents have their own agenda, to increase the size of their own small empire and retake hostile worlds close to their own. This can include those owned by the major players, and so care must be taken when traversing systems close to theirs. At Tier 2, and for a small influence cost, a short-term alliance can be secured with the Aluxians with recognised legitimacy. A general cessation of hostilities follows, ensuring the safe passage of your ships through their systems. This useful ability can use the Aluxians' territory as a shield to guard a flank from enemy raids and invasions, or to quickly traverse their own space to get into your enemy's backlines for a sneaky assault of your own. At Tier 4, the Aluxians can gift the player with the Exotic Vault Access ability, which provides a substantial random selection of exotic materials for a reasonable influence cost. There may be times that influence is easier to come by than exotics, particularly in the mid to late game when civilian orbital slots are too tight to spare for extra refineries, and this ability can help get those late game techs, items and capital ships out into play quickly. Pranis United are an unaligned military-industrial conglomerate and specialists in defensive weapons technology, famed for the development of the TEC's Argonev starbase system and willing to sell their services to anybody with the influence to pay for it, regardless of their intentions. At Tier 2, their unassailable fortress planetary item can be purchased, fortifying a qualifying colony of your choosing with a network of almost impenetrable bunkers and bulwarks designed to see off even the most determined of planetary bombardments for a massive hit point and military orbital structure slot boost. A frontline gravity well on a strategic choke point or a highly valuable colony with the best resource access would make a fine choice for this upgrade. and, when paired with a defensive uplink or the like, could make an incredibly difficult roadblock for an enemy to breach. The huge hit point pool granted by this item also synergizes nicely with the Advent's Sanctify Unity ability too. When you need something more immediate, Pranis United can summon a defensive fleet to fly to the aid of a friendly gravity well. This is a top tier ability, and the defense-oriented ships it summons will fight to the death to defend your world from harm. They're no pushover either, and if properly supported will turn the tide of an otherwise doomed space battle. The Jisan Expeditionary Force are an offshoot Vasari faction and the galaxy's best scouts, equipped with the finest in surveillance and exploration technology. Those seeking knowledge of the layout of the sector or the movements of their enemies can hire their services in times of need. Their first tier ability, Colony Seed Nanites, enables a capital ship to colonize a world even if normally unequipped to do so, granting an extra infrastructure bonus to the new world in the process. This can allow a battleship or a carrier to double up as a colony vessel in the early game, while providing an extra punch in an early conflict with another player you wouldn't get with a dedicated colony capital ship. The extra infrastructure gained is a worthy bonus, saving you valuable resources in the early game expansion phase. Sensory data from the Jisan's roving Jakara Navigator vessels can be temporarily accessed using the third tier Scout Vision ability. This relatively cheap ability lasts a long time and is undetectable to your enemies, allowing you to passively scout enemy positions without their knowledge, as the Jisan's scout ships are generally not subject to attack from other military vessels in the game. Knowing where your enemy is strong and where they are weak is critical in winning a war, and this ability gives you eyes wherever the Jisan Expeditionary Force goes. The Vitak Transport Cabal are the second Vasari minor faction comprised of scientists and experts in the field of logistics and phase space technology. They are masters of mobility, and currying their favour will open up many strategic options in desperate times. The arrival of the phase jump inhibitor technology into the war marks a deadly escalation in any campaign, particularly when paired with well-upgraded starbases and other fortifications. Once such a trap is set and sprung, any ship or fleet without the muscle to destroy a well-defended phase jump inhibitor and make their escape afterwards will be completely eliminated. The Vitak can fix this problem for one of your capital ships with the Jump Field Stabilizer item. Installing this high-tech device allows your ship to slip out of a gravity well protected by a phase jump inhibitor. Protecting your best ships with this valuable device could save them if the fleet does become trapped, and allows safe passage for a protected ship attempting to join a task force operating beyond a trapped choke point. At Tier 4, security clearance is gained for the construction of one of the Vasari's most prized technological marvels. Construct Phase Gate is expensive and has a long cooldown, but facilitates the construction of a phase gate at any friendly world without consuming a civilian orbital slot. A network of up to 3 phase gates can be constructed in any one game, granting non-Vasari factions access to the deadly strategic movement capability this technology brings. This includes rapid fleet redeployment across vast distances, connecting distant worlds to one another without the need to cross hostile gravity wells, and more. Meanwhile, Vasari players can bolster their existing phase gate network with 3 extra gates that cost only influence, saving them much expense and valuable exotic resources in their construction. We've only had time to take a look at half of the abilities available for these 5 fascinating minor factions, but as you can see, spending your influence wisely can give you a large advantage over your opponents and tip the odds in your favour in many different situations. Take advantage of the minor factions and sally forth to victory.